What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the podcast. It's your girl Shelly Nicole with the Remedy Podcast. How's everybody doing? I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. I hope everybody had a great week. It is flying by. I cannot believe it is already December 15th. It's crazy. It is crazy. Like, I don't understand. I swear, every year I feel like it gets it goes by faster and faster and faster. I swear, every year. That means 2026 is right around the corner. That means it is approaching speed of light. It is time for us to get our our New Year's resolutions together, what we want for the next year, what we're hoping for next year, and making it happen for ourselves. I already wrote down my list. I am gonna have to start next year because it's like during the holidays it's difficult to start everything that you want to do because your family, this event, that event, holiday, so it's kind of difficult to start your whole resolution at a certain before, but nonetheless we're gonna make it happen. But today's episode is the second to last one before the end of the year. The second to last one. I'm going to do one more for next week, and then I'll check you guys next year in January with all new ideas. The Her 30 Journey Part 2 will start next year as well as different episodes that we'll be talking about in between the Her 30 Journey Part 2. But tonight's episode is about the wait isn't punishment. It is preparation. So what made me pick this episode, which is ironic enough because yesterday I listened to, I think majority of you guys know, but I attend church online. The church that I go to is the Lighthouse Church with Pastor Keon Henderson. Shout out to them. They're down in Houston, and that was one of the sermons that I actually listened to yesterday. And the other one that I was listening to was 2819 Church. They're in Atlanta, Georgia, I believe. I forgot the pastor's name. I'm so sorry. And I was listening to both of them. I actually heard 2819 Church first, and then I was listening to the Lighthouse Church right after. And it's crazy how this topic, this title, which I actually had written down, jumped up at me first when I was just scrolling to see which one am I going to pick for tonight's episode. And this is the one that just came to mind, and it correlates so well with what was being preached yesterday. And it's crazy how life works and how messages come through ultimately when it is time for you to receive something that is on God's mind and what he wants you to hear. So today's episode, it's titled The Wait is Not Punishment, It's Preparation. And if you're listening to this feeling stuck, overlooked, confused, overwhelmed, or just quietly asking God, did I miss something? Or am I not down the same path that you have called me on? Did I miss the road? Then this episode is for you. This is a conversation we're going to have that requires, like I said, both the sermons that I had listened to yesterday. The one from Pastor Keon was tied to the timeline, and the one from the 2819 Church was You Did It Anyway. So just keep those two titles in mind. Tied to the timeline and You Did It Anyway. Together, they both spoke directly to the tensions that many of us are living right now. Believing God has a plan for us, yet we're still struggling with waiting for it to unfold, waiting for it to come to fruition. So for this episode, like I do for all the other ones, I broke it down into small portions for us to speak about that I thought kind of spoke on both topics from the sermons that I attended yesterday. And the first part is reframing the wait. So somewhere along the way, we learned to interpret waiting as punishment. The relationship didn't happen yet. The career hasn't taken off yet. The business is still slow. And it just seems like all the prayers are not being answered, and it's making you question, like, God, are you even listening to me? Like, am I even on your hotline right now? Because I'm constantly talking to you and I don't hear anything. I'm constantly praying to you and I don't see no results. I'm constantly hoping for a better future and I don't see anything coming my way. So, God, where are you? And when I was thinking about this and when I was figuring out what I'm going to talk about when it comes to this topic, I had to think about my own moments of where I even had to ask God, like, hey, are you listening? Because it doesn't seem like you're listening. Especially when I am in a season of wanting to transition and remove myself from where I currently am to where I see myself going. I have been at my current job for 8 years. Next year, May, will make it 9. And although it has been rewarding, although I have learned a lot, not just about people, but about myself, I also wanted to make sure that I saw myself going somewhere else. I didn't see this being a forever thing, and it ended up being a forever thing. It ended up being something that I didn't think would happen, but for only 2-3 years. And sometimes complacency and sometimes your comfort gets in the way. And I eventually had to learn that I needed to get out of my own head. I needed to get out of my own way. And I needed to also understand that maybe I needed this time to reflect on why God was possibly delaying me from what it is I was supposed to have. And realizing and also taking responsibility where I dropped the ball, where the door was open and I peeked in and I didn't walk through when I should have walked through the door, where I may have derailed my own direction because I wanted to rush and go about it a whole different way. So understanding that sometimes we get in our own way, that God is always listening to us, but sometimes we just need to understand that the waiting isn't about denial. It's more so about preparing. You're in this preparation season. I'm in this preparation season of our lives because the old version of us, our old mindset, old habits, old thoughts, old routines have to change in order to receive what God has for us. You cannot go into what God wants for you with the same mindsets of the past. It happens when no one is clapping for you. It happens when everyone else's blessings are coming in and yours hasn't. It happens when you're growing roots instead of fruit. It's when it's your planting season and not your pruning season. It's when everyone, like I said, around you is getting promoted, getting new jobs, starting a new family, getting married, in a new relationship, buying a new house, getting a new car, and you just feel like you're clapping for everyone, you're excited for everyone, but where is yours? Truth is, we want next, but sometimes we're not ready for it. And often, what we want next often requires a version of us we are still forming ourselves into, who are we becoming. And if I'm being even more honest, most of us are not ready for what's next because we can't let go of what has already happened. We can't move on from the past. We can't move on from the pain. We can't move on from, oh, but he did me like this, and I think that all guys are going to be like that. Well, she did me like that, and all girls are going to do me like that. Or I wish that I would have picked a different career back then because then I would have been in a different situation. We can't go back and change it. What already happened, already happened. We can only look forward and move forward. The second part is why waiting your turn matters. Now, what I'm still learning, because I'm not fully there yet. I could be honest with y'all. What I'm still learning is that waiting your turn isn't about being passive. It's about being aligned. You get what I'm saying? So let me explain for those of you who don't get it. When we rush ahead of God's timing, we often inherit blessings we're not emotionally, spiritually, or mentally able to maintain. Some of the very things we envy in others would overwhelm us if we received them right now. If we received everything that we're asking for at this exact moment, right now, we would mess it up more than what we're telling ourselves. No, I wouldn't mess it up. No, I know what I'm going to do. I have all this plan of doing this and doing that, but God knows us better than we know ourselves. God knows if I give her this $1 million right now, she's going to blow it on something dumb. I have to change her mindset on money. I have to change her mindset on obedience. I have to change her mindset on what is important before I can give her what it is she's asking for. There was times where I even rushed God when it came to my career choice, or it came to my plan. I said that I was supposed to be in NYPD. I was supposed to be a detective by now. I was supposed to have all of this. And I had to understand that it didn't work out for me for a reason. That my turn was going to happen, just not in the way that I saw it happening. I wanted to rush. I wanted to get in there. And I tried 3 times. And all those times something derailed me from saying, or stopped me, I should say, from actually getting it. And at first I'm like, I'm thinking like, am I dumb? Like, am I crazy? Am I not? This is what I said I was going to do. I've been talking about this since sophomore year of high school, or actually junior year of high school. Kept putting this into plan, saying this was going to be my plan. This is what I was going to do. And I was on that path. I was doing everything right. I went to that college. I studied this. I figured this out. I took the test. I waited. I was in and out of the gym, if I'm being honest. And I was just preparing myself for the call to like, okay, it's going to happen. For it to happen, and then I don't get it. For it to happen, and not only do I not get it, but I also try, not even that. I also end up getting the job that I'm at right now when I didn't know where I was going to go, because I had already told my previous job, like, hey, yeah, I'm out of here. I got it. Was flying through every part of the test correctly. Flew through it. And then that last portion that had to be done, it was we got to see, and I don't know, and it could possibly, and maybe not. And it was a whole lot of back and forth. And it made me feel like I put in all this work for me to not get it. But God had something else. I applied to something else. I remember I was flying out, and I said, well, God, I'll take this too. If it's anything else that I can't get, I'll take this job. And I applied to it, and literally 2 days later, I got accepted. Now, it's me understanding now that people, they were just, they were hiring because they needed people. But I spoke it, I guess. I spoke it up even after I applied for it. And here we are, 8 years later. If you guys, just disclaimer, if you start hearing in my background like a drilling noise, these people upstairs, I don't know what they're drilling. I don't know what they're fixing. I don't know what's going on. I just know that they're drilling something. I know somebody lives upstairs. I don't know what the she's doing. So if you hear that, just a disclaimer. Yeah, that it's not me. Nonetheless, what I want you guys to remember is what looks like delay is often protection. God sees the full picture. We don't. Remember, he wrote the story. We're trying to make it our own. And oftentimes, when we make this story our own, we are derailed from what we should really be doing. And if God has asked you to wait, it's because he loves you enough not to release something prematurely. He loves you enough to understand that if he gives this to you now, you're going to mess it up. That if he gives this to you now, your actions, how you handle conflict, how you may handle solving problems, how you may handle your attitude, your mouth. If we're being honest, a lot of us have a bad attitude. If he gives us what we think we should deserve right now, it's going to cause us more harm than it would do good. It would put us in situations that we will be able to pray ourselves out of, but if the consequences are too greater, it's something that we have to just deal with. The next part is overthinking and the fear of being left behind. And I feel like every single one of us who is listening right now can honestly say that we have had these moments of feeling left behind, and it is all thanks to social media. So if we're being honest, comparison has made waiting unbearable. So like I just mentioned, and I've mentioned a bunch of times, while social media can be a great informative outlet, it can also be very destructive to our brains. Social media has us believing everyone else is ahead, engaged, married, promoted, successful, healed, and glowing, when actually no one talks about how long it took for them to get there, or if they're even happy in spite of what they show us. If we're being honest, a lot of people just post what they want us to see. You don't know, and this is why I've always said, I will never ever say someone is my couple goal, or that's my marriage goal, or I want to have this like that person, because I don't know what it took for that person to get there. They could have sold their soul in order to get it. They could have done some things that you looked at them, if you were to find out what they did, and you're like, you did that to get this? You put up with this just to say you're married? You dealing with this, but you really got that in the back? Oh. To make you say that you really don't want it anymore, because you don't know everybody's story. Again, people only show you what they want you to see on social media. They show you the highlights. They show you the happy moments. They show you the healing portion. They're only showing you the good. So overthinking comes with fear. The fear of us missing out, the fear of being forgotten, the fear that God skipped over us, the fear that it will never happen. There's been plenty of times where I myself have I don't even think overthink is not a word. Where I used to overthink, and I still do. If I'm being honest, I still have my moments of overthinking. I still have my moments of what if, and how is that going to work, and will it work, and am I doing the right thing? Am I not doing the right thing? Am I not making enough moves? Am I being stuck? Am I settling in my career? Am I settling with my entrepreneurship? Am I settling for the bare minimum when it comes to myself? Because if I'm being honest with myself, I have high standards. They weren't always like that. I'll be very honest. They were not always like that. It took me some time. It took me loving myself more. It took me healing myself, continuing to heal myself. It took me seeing the ugly parts of myself. It took me having to realize where in my life I needed to change, I needed to shift, I needed to pivot in order for me to say, you know what? Maybe I'm not being left behind. Maybe I'm just, like I said earlier, transitioning to becoming a better version of myself, and I'm just not there yet. Social media, especially because a lot of these influencers now are so much like, they're so young. They're 19, they're 20, 21, 22, 23. They're so young. And they're making all of this money, and it makes other people who are my age, older than me, and everybody else like in their 40s, 50s, feeling like, well, shit, did I not do enough? Because here you have a 25-year-old driving a Lamborghini with 2.5 million in the bank, but that's his type. That is where his generation has taken him. Everything is over the phone. You can make money quickly over the phone. Is all money good money? No. Is all opportunities great opportunities? No. You don't know what half of these people have done. You don't know what they are doing for a bag. Because chasing a bag all the time is not always good. Sometimes it's bad. So what I decided to do, and this is something that you guys can all do as well, in the morning when I'm getting dressed for the day and I'm getting ready, regardless if it's my day to work or it's my day off, I go on YouTube and I look for positive affirmations. I look for positive videos, and a lot of them oddly enough have Denzel Washington in speaking, and a lot of other speakers that we've heard. But you can Google positive affirmations to listen to in the morning, and on YouTube it will pop up. And that's one of the best things that you can listen to while you're getting ready. When you're brushing your teeth, you're in the shower, you're putting your food together for lunch, when you're before you leave the door. It's the best thing to do, because now you're speaking that over your life. You're putting that energy in the atmosphere that, yes, you were having a negative moment yesterday. Yes, you were probably having a negative moment a few months ago, but now you're choosing to change your mindset. And what better time to have that mindset now that we are only 2 weeks away, 2 weeks away from a new year, to start building this habit of listening to positive affirmations in the morning. Before you wake up, also praying. Before you take your feet out of the bed, just lay there for a second after your alarm goes off and just say, thank you, God, for waking me up. Thank you for protecting me. Align me with what you have called for me to do today, and let's get this day going. And then start your positive affirmation. But speaking these positivities will help you avoid overthinking. Speaking that when it comes to a relationship, speaking that positivity, I deserve to be loved. I deserve the right kind of man or the right kind of woman. I deserve someone to see me for who I am and love me. The ugly, the good, the terrible, the messed up hair, the no hair. I deserve someone to see me for all of me and to love me through it all. It's quiet right now, and it's okay if you're in this quiet season of your life. It could be because God is testing you and I. He is getting rid of the trauma, the weakness, the hurt, the shame, and building something sturdy. He doesn't want it to be rushed. This next part is actually one of my favorites, and this was actually the sermon that I listened to yesterday. The one sermon that I listened to was You Did It Anyway, Our Will Over God's Will. So one of the sermons that I attended yesterday was the 2819 church that I mentioned earlier. I watched it via YouTube live, but they, again, they're located in Atlanta, Georgia. So if you're down in Atlanta, Georgia, you go visit, check them out. I think they're pretty good. I like them. I like how they preach, and I like their message. It was the executive pastor, I believe. I don't know his name. I'm sorry. He was preaching, and the topic that he was preaching was, you did it anyway. And in this sermon, he spoke about Peter. Peter is one of Jesus' disciples. And if you go to Matthew, I think it was Matthew 28, verse 69 to 75. Was it 28? Oh, no. It's in Matthew 26. It's Matthew 26, verse 69 to 75. I believe that's it. Yeah, I was right. Yeah, Matthew 26, verse 69, 75. So basically, Peter denied Jesus not once, but 3 times. And Jesus knew this. Jesus said to him and to all the disciples before that one of you are going to deny me 3 times before the crow cries. And he told that to Peter. And Peter said, well, no, I'm not. What are you talking about? I will never do that. I love you. I follow you. I believe in you. I've seen what you've done. Why would I do that? And what stood out to me was Peter didn't deny Jesus because he didn't love him, because he did. He loved him. He denied him because fear took over. He was fearful that he was going to get killed. He was probably fearful that if these people knew that I knew Jesus and they were talking so badly about what they wanted to do to him, what were they going to do to me? But isn't that what we do now? We pray, then panic. We trust, then we want to take control. We say we believe in God, then move ahead without confirmation. We rush into relationships. We accept jobs that we really shouldn't accept because it really doesn't align with what God wants us to do, but it just gets us out of the toxicity that we're in now. We force timelines, wanting to have kids by a certain age, wanting to be married by a certain time, and just taking whoever and whatever comes our way just because we feel like, okay, well, this is as good as it's going to get, so let's do it right now because I'm getting too old. Okay? Then get mad at God when it falls apart. But God's grace still meets us in our mistakes. How many times have you made a mistake? How many times have you really fucked up? I should not be saying fucked up while I'm talking about God. But how many times did you F up? And God said, but I still love you. I still am giving you grace. I'm still giving you an opportunity to fix it. God did that with Peter. God gave Peter 3 times. Oh, my water almost fell. God gave Peter 3 times to change his perspective, to change his mind before he denied him for the last and final time before the crow cried. Because that's what God does. Whenever you do something wrong, he gives you a minute to think about it. He speaks to you. He sends a message to you. He tells you when you got that feeling in your head that's like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. I don't think this is right. That's God downloading a message to you. That's the Holy Spirit coming to you like, hello, I don't think you need to be doing that. That's not what, no, don't do that. And either we choose to listen, or we continue with our lie, or we continue into the relationship, or we continue taking the job, or we continue to do something that God is telling us, I said, no, what are you doing? And even after we've taken it, even after we've done it, God still gives us grace. He still loves us. He still hears us. He still is on the other side like, okay, well, that's what you wanted. I'm going to let you go through the consequence of it. And then I'll put you back on the right path for where I want you to go. But since you want to derail yourself, I'm going to derail you. I'm going to let you derail yourself. I'm going to let you derail what has or what is causing you to shift off. The lesson isn't condemnation. The lesson is awareness. The next one is taking responsibility without losing faith. Sometimes the heartbreak wasn't God's punishment. It was the result of us moving without clarity. And that's a hard truth to sit with. How many of us can honestly say that we thought and looked at a relationship that really that we weren't supposed to be in? We stayed in one, or we returned to one that God said, yeah, no, I didn't order that. That was not from me. And how many times have we sat here and said, oh my God, I think he's from you. Thank you, Jesus, for sending me this man. Thank you, Lord, and God's probably looking down at us like, I didn't send that. That is not who I sent. Because when we're speaking to God about what we want, the devil also hears us too. The enemy hears us just as loud as we speak to God. So when he tries to send us somebody, a lookalike, has everything probably on the outside that looks like what we want, but on the inside and everything else that they got going on is nothing to what we ask God for. All the confusion, all the heartbreak, our nervous system, all being out of whack, everything happening. Oh, well, it's just because it's just because he, and it's just because she. Mm-mm. This is not what I wanted. This is not what I called you to have. And then when it all falls apart, we get mad at God. But when are you going to take responsibility of the fact that you knew you shouldn't have even been in that relationship? You knew you shouldn't have even given this career your time of day. You knew. Yet you did it anyway because you wanted to control the outcome. But accountability doesn't cancel grace. God can redeem every detour. So if this season isn't about shame, it's about discernment. Learning how to pause, learning how to wait for the peace instead of the urgency, holding on to your faith and understanding that it's all going to work out how it's supposed to if you would just sit down and stop trying to figure it out on your own. Tied to the timeline, God's timing is intentional, was the other sermon that I listened to yesterday. And this one was with Pastor Keon, that I also attended on YouTube for the live. And it was titled Tied to the Timeline, which reminded us that God's timing is not random. If God is holding you back, it's because if God is holding you back, it's because what's ahead requires more capacity than you currently have. So your current circumstances, it doesn't, how can I say this? Your current circumstances, they don't need to change for God to use you. Where you are right now is good enough, and God can maneuver you in this exact moment of where you are. Pastor Keon spoke about Jesus being wrapped in scraps. So, back then when you died, you were mummified almost, and they wrapped you up in scraps, and they wrapped you from head to toe in scraps. But the cloth that they put over Jesus's face, it wasn't wrapped. It was just a cloth over his head. And in the tomb where Jesus was at, that cloth that was over his face was the only thing that was folded. The scraps were all over the floor. But the only thing that was folded is what Jesus had laid, what they put over Jesus's face and what they laid his head on. That was the only thing that was folded. You have to learn when to leave the scraps behind. Basically saying the scraps were the old version of you. And the new version of you, you cannot take them with you. You have to leave them there. Jesus was going to be seated at the right hand of the Father. He can't take them old scraps with him. He left they all on the floor. He didn't take not one, like, well, hold on, let me just take one, just like, as a souvenir of what they done did to me. He knows what they did. He was there. You know what happened. You was there. So why are you holding on to it if you want to let it go? If that's not what's supposed to serve you later on, why are you holding on to what has tied you to this timeline? If you do not leave them, scraps, they will define you. Like I said, Jesus did not keep him. He didn't keep any of them. He left them where they were on the floor because what was a part of you is no longer a part of you. Bars. What was a part of you is no longer a part of you. God is using your scraps to make you a better person and preparing you and I for where we're going. We don't see where we're going right now. We have no idea what's next. We don't know what 2026 holds for us. But if we're holding on to what 2025 gave us, to what 2024 had on us, what 2023 had on us, what 2022 had on us, we are going to keep dragging those last 4 years into a new year and then blaming everything else in the past when everything else in the past has already let it go. We're just holding on to it for no reason. And elevation always requires release. You cannot expect yourself to elevate when you're holding on to what has kept you to the ground, what's kept you from elevating to begin with. And if I'm being honest, some of us think we are ready for the elevation, but can't release what no longer serves us. And what no longer serves us doesn't always necessarily mean something materialistic. It can mean you're holding on to a relationship that no longer serves you, and you know it doesn't. You're holding on to a friendship that you and this person have overstayed your welcome and no longer serves you. You two are going your own separate ways, and that is fine. You're holding on to a past mistake that you made 5 years ago, and you can't seem to let go of it, so you're still holding it, but wanting to be elevated from the place that you're at right now. You're holding on to this career, and don't get me wrong, because like I said, I'm right there with you, wanting to elevate and be in a whole new career, but hoping and praying that you get a promotion at the current job that you're at. Well, you shouldn't give a damn if you get promoted or not at the current job you're at if you're trying to leave. Your mindset has to be, and should be, you thinking of what's next for me in the new realm? What's next for me in the new career? How am I going to be better? What am I going to take with me that I've learned from this job into my next one? And what am I going to leave altogether at this current job that I'm not bringing into the next? You cannot carry old mindsets, old relationships, old friendships, old wounds into new levels. I know for myself, I had to let go of being overlooked at a job that I felt that I was constantly overlooked at. You're ever at a job and they constantly tell you, like, you do great work. We never hear from you. You're always, you do your job and you go above and beyond and you always helpful and da, 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 da. But for whatever reason, you still keep getting overlooked. You never get complimented. But the moment you do something wrong, it's a World War V. You could do the slightest thing wrong and it's like a whole shit show. But you've been doing everything right this whole time. But that one little thing, and you eventually just say, you know what? Hey, it is what it is. Not getting upset at the fact that you're being overlooked. Not getting upset at the fact that, you know what? This friendship was great. I enjoyed every aspect of it. I enjoyed every moment of it. But this is the end. I love you. I care about you. I wish you all the best, but we're going two different ways, and it's okay. I don't hate you. I don't feel like, you did me wrong or I did you wrong. We just went two separate ways. Releasing the pain of my past relationship. Getting into my new one. And he'll tell you, well, for those of you who know him, he'll tell you, I sometimes struggle with letting go of, but what if this happens? But what if that happens? And he sees it. And I'm better than what I was before. I'm better than when we first started dating. But I have my moments where I start overthinking, especially because you're so used to it happening. So now that you're in a relationship that's great for your nervous system has not been out of control, has not been out of whack since you and this person's been dating, it's new to you. So you're like, okay, this is what this feels like. Okay, all right. Understanding that you cannot take what you were previously tied to into a new version of yourself. They both cannot coexist. The next segment is letting go of the past. We often ask God to move us forward while holding on to what He's asked us or He's asking us to release. Old versions of ourselves, like I just said before, can't live where God has taken us. God waits for our hands to be empty before He fills them with the blessings and abundance that He has for us. You guys have ever seen that meme or that little, I guess it's a meme or like a picture that you've seen where the little girl has a small teddy bear behind her back and God is holding a bigger one? And she's just not seeing that it's a bigger teddy bear. She just sees that this is something that she wants. Or I think it's actually a picture of Jesus holding the teddy bear behind his back. Because I've seen two versions of it. So yeah, Jesus holding the teddy bear behind his back. And that one's a huge teddy bear. And she's holding the smaller one in her hands. And he's like, well, give me that one. But we're just so stuck on, but this is comfortable. This is what I know. This is what I like. This is what I've witnessed. This is what has known me. And Jesus is like, I get that, but you were never supposed to have that to begin with. That was something temporary. That was something that you were never supposed to have. So now I'm asking you to give it to me so that way I can give you exactly what I need, what I want to give you, what you were supposed to have. Letting go of our wants and our plans is hard. It is. Everything that we've planned, even to this day, like I've mentioned multiple times on the podcast about me planning my life from when I was 18. Saying that I was going to be married by 25. I would have had my last child already by like 32, 31. Would have had my last child. Would have had 4 altogether. And I would have been married well into my career. My husband would have been well into his career. We would have had a house. The whole picture of what I saw. Even having a business. I did want to have a business. I don't remember what business I wanted to have at that age, but I did say I wanted to have a business. But I had this all figured out in my head. And it wasn't until I got to my 30s. So I got to 33 actually. 33, like 32, 33. Where I eventually let it go. It took me literally that long to let it go. Like, okay, so everything that I wanted didn't happen. And I take responsibility for what I forced, what I should have never done, over what you had planned for me. And not realizing that had I had just handed it over to him to begin with, it may have happened. It may not have happened. But maybe it didn't happen because I got to travel the world. Not really the whole world, but I got to go to a lot of places. There's still the places I have not gone to that I still want to go on my bucket list. But I got to travel. I got to party. I got to live a life that, not to say that you can't live when you have kids, but it just would have been different. I wouldn't have done it right then and there because I would have had other responsibilities to take care of. But seeing how my life just went a whole different route from what I thought it would be. It's hard to let go of our plans. And moving forward, I said to myself early this year, and even late last year, I said I'm going to let whatever God says, whatever is supposed to happen for me, I'm going to let it happen. I don't control anything. I sit here and I come up with ideas that I want, but then I speak to God about it. Like, okay, so God, I have this idea, right? This is what I'm thinking. And if it's in your will, that's what I said after. If it's in your will, then let it be done. If it's not, show me how good it can get. I've been saying that, I think I said that a few times this year that God, whatever is supposed to happen, just show me how good it's going to get. Show me how good it's going to get when I release my plans and I just follow what you're telling me to do. And it's hard to believe that because it's a plan that we can't see. You're being asked to trust in someone who you know is there. If you believe in God, then you know he's around. You know he's omnipresent. but you just don't see him. You trust humans because they're right there. I could trust my friends because I could call them and, I could tell them this and that and third because they're right there. It's easy to trust what's right here in the flesh. It's hard to trust what we don't see. But doesn't that just make your faith stronger when you put that into someone who has been around with you, who has kept you through this entire year? If you're listening to this, God has kept you from January 1st, 2025, all the way up until now. How can he not? Be for real, right? And last but not least, for the woman and the men, I had for the woman only, but for the woman and the men who are lost. If you feel confused right now, welcome to transition. If old dreams no longer fit the new ones that haven't fully been formed, that doesn't mean you're lost. It means you are being shaped. The old you is dying while the new you is trying to push its way out, is trying to bloom, kind of like a caterpillar turning into a butterfly. Settling comes from fear, not faith. God cares about you. God hears you. God cares about who you're becoming than what you're acquiring. God, I tell you this all the time, well, not all the time, but most of the time on the episodes and on the podcast, I've mentioned how it is not an easy road to go down trying to start your relationship with God. But it does not have to, it's not hard either. Talk to him just like how I'm talking to you. Pray to him just like how I'm speaking to you right now. This is exactly how you'll talk to him. And it's exactly how you could pray. You don't need elaborate words. You don't need to refer to this. You don't need to refer to that scripture. You don't need to do any of that. Just pray to him whatever it is that's on your heart right now. And pray every single day. You could pray while you're in the car. You could pray when you're on the treadmill. You could pray while you're cooking. You could pray while you're cleaning. You can pray while you're on the bus. You could pray while you're on the train. Pray whenever. And it doesn't have to be out loud. You could say it in your head. You could write it down. You could put it in your notes. God sees everything. God knows everything. But when we're in this moment of having to wait, understand that it's not a punishment. Understand that it is God preparing us for the next version of ourselves. And it's hard for us to see. Again, I am a witness to it myself. I sometimes get very cranky. My friends will tell you. And I feel like, why am I still in the same place? Why do I feel like I'm still in the same place? Why do I feel like I'm still not moving? Why do I feel like I'm not doing anything when I'm doing everything that I can? But it just, to my standards, it doesn't feel like I'm doing enough. So then when we start to feel burnt out, to where we check out, we don't want to deal with nobody. We want to do anything. We just want to sit and just eat ice cream and watch movies all day. We're doing more than what, and you'll be honest with yourself if you know this is true. You're doing more than what most people are not doing. You're doing better than what you did last year. Your intentions are different this year. I know for me, my intentions are completely different for next year. Y'all ain't going to see me as much. Y'all barely see me now, but y'all definitely not going to see me that much next year, because my intentions and my plan and my goal, if it's aligning with what God is aligning me with, which I think he is. I'm 95% sure. I think it is. You're not going to see me that much next year. You're probably not even going to hear from me that much next year. Really, because I'm just trying to get myself in a different room. I'm trying to put myself in a different position. And that's going to cause for a lot of obedience and discipline. And that also comes with the weight. Obedience and discipline. Just like how you're obedient to going, and I tell this to myself too, just like how I'm disciplined and obedient to going to my same nail tech that I've been going to for 20 years, is the same way you need to be obedient to God. The same way you gentlemen are obedient to getting your hair cut to that barber. You won't switch up on your barber. You need to do that with God. You go to the gym, you do this amount of reps every week. It's Monday, it's leg day. Tuesday, it's chest day. Wednesday, it's back day. You need to do the same thing when it comes to God. It's the same thing that we put into play with everything else, that we can take an hour, 2 hours, 30 minutes, a little conversation with God, just to have him in our life, just to interact with him, just to let him know that we're thinking about him and we hear him. So, remedy homework. Remedy homework. I need to get like a little sound for this. The last episode I had remedy homework. That was for, what was that actually for? The last episode, the shoulds. That's what it was. All the shoulds. And the homework was to pick one of the episodes that you can relate to that needs most changing. And I think for me, from the last episode's homework, for me, the one that I definitely feel like, I'm trying to think. Faith, fear, in our future. That's the one that I would definitely say needs the most change, is the faith, the fear, and my future. And writing down 5 things I will no longer accept. So the 5 things that I no longer will accept is not having faith, being fearful of what I don't see, not sure about my future but knowing that there is one, not talking negatively or overthinking, and not thinking that what I've dreamed of, what I aspire for, that it's not going to happen. Because the 5 things that I am going to continue to say to myself for the 2026 is that my faith is strong, that I'm not fearful of what's next, that 2026 is going to be a better year, that everything that I'm praying for, everything that I'm speaking about is going to happen, and that I'm right where I'm supposed to be, that I'm not late, I'm not, I'm not making any moves, I'm doing everything that I'm supposed to do at the right time. I'm doing it exactly when God said I was supposed to do it. So for this remedy homework, I want you, I had 5 questions, but I'm not going to do that to y'all. I'm going to just pick one. I want you guys to answer this. What am I currently waiting on? And what might God be preparing me for in this season? That is your homework. And I'm going to put it up on Instagram possibly tomorrow. I'm going to give y'all a little minute. But I'm going to put that on Instagram. And that's going to be the homework that I want you guys to answer. What am I currently waiting on? And what might God be preparing me for in this season? That's a good one. So guys, if God has you waiting, it's not because he said no. It's because he's making sure when it comes, you're ready to keep it. He's making sure that you will not mess up the blessing that he has for you. Again, it could be in any aspect of your life. It could be with money. It could be with careers. It could be with relationships. It could be with friendships. It could be with your business. He is putting you, giving you this time of solidarity. He's giving you this time of quietness. He's giving you this time of stillness because he wants you to reflect not only on what you've done in the past, what you've accepted, what you also need to change. Because there's a lot of us that needs to change our perspective, our thought process, our mindsets, our habits. And I'm saying we, because I'm in this too, because I ain't just preaching and not talking to y'all either. I'm in this just as much as y'all are. He's not going to give us what we think we deserve until we learn to let it go, until we learn to let the past go, until we learn to let that version of us go. Someone asked me too, I'm being transparent real quickly. Someone asked me something based off of this, that was I ready for the relationship that I'm in right now? And I said, yes. Yeah, I was ready. What do you mean? Of course I was ready. But it wasn't until there were moments in the beginning of our relationship where I saw that I still had work to do. But sometimes God wants you to do as much of the work that you want, that he expects of you to do, but then also gives you someone to help you along the way. It doesn't necessarily have to be romantic. It could be a friend. It can honestly just be a friend to help you get through these issues that you have that you don't really see or you don't notice. But I feel like he gives us people who can help push us. And if you're in that right mindset to say, okay, this person is telling me and showing me and doing things for me differently, and they're helping me mold myself into someone better than those, that's who I'm supposed to still be friends with. That's who I'm supposed to be in a relationship with. That's who I'm supposed to be in business with. That's who is showing me a different perspective of life because of what they're bringing me. You read in the Bible, God said we're not supposed to do life without having a community, without having a friend, without having people around us who give positive vibes and who show us the right way of how we're supposed to live and what we're supposed to do. So think about that for the rest of the week, okay? And I hope you guys have a great week. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of, I don't think kids are out of school, are they? I don't think so. I think midwinter break is like in February or something like that. But nonetheless, I hope you guys have a great night. I hope you guys, I just lost my train of thought. I don't know why. But I hope you guys have a great night. Whatever happened today, leave it into today. Don't bring that shit into tomorrow. I'll see y'all later. So